Nashville Sports Network, ESPN 94.9, The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is, for the moment, a beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. The problem with that, the rest of the week, not so good. 100% chance of rain tomorrow. About an 85% chance of rain on Wednesday, and more over the weekend. In other words, tomorrow, it's going to rain. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Nope.
Do what?
Yes, I watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Kelly, I trust you watched it.
Yeah, I was doing my best to cut it off after like the third quarter, though. Good gracious. I mean, it was just not a good. You just never know how those things are going to go. It's funny because we were all, you picked them. I told somebody the other day when I was driving to see my mom, I said, Philly wins this game. And everything happened I thought would happen. They got pressure with four guys. So I'm sure we'll talk about this. But when you can do that, they did exactly what Tampa Bay did to them a couple of years ago, and they had no answer for it.
So this probably came up at some people's Super Bowl parties. And here's the best answer that I think I have. First of all, did Fox absolutely croak in the opening series of the third quarter when KC's Patrick Mahomes got sacked twice, already down 24-0? Well, they did more than that because they knew at that point that there were going to be some people who probably are not pro football junkies who were going to go, you want me to do that again?
Yeah, I'm done. That's right. They were trying their best. They were trying their best to talk it up. It was really funny. Like at halftime, the guys were talking. It's a 24-point deficit, but the way Patrick Mahomes I told somebody, I texted him, I'm like, this game is over with. I told my wife the game's over. It's over.
After Cooper DeJean's pick six, it was all she wrote.
Probably was, but here's an important piece of this that I don't totally know the answer to. First of all, if the game is to the wire, if a Super Bowl game is to the wire, the audience picks up as people who are not pro football junkies are like, I think I want to see the ending, as opposed to me going like that. So my guess is that Fox, which charged like $8 million for some of the dumbest 30-second commercials in the history of dumb. Let me say it this way. Dumb. You spent $8 million. Dumb. But anyway, my guess is that in the fourth quarter of a blowout, there are not as many people out there watching the game. So let's make one up here. Budweiser. Does Budweiser go to Fox and say, look, you didn't have as many people watching as you promised. We want, quote, a rebate. My guess is that Fox says, yeah, we'll give you some FS1 commercials from midnight to 6 p.m. Shut the hell up and go away. That's
a good point, George. I've never thought about that. Like, if you have a blowout, like back in the 80s, of course, it was different back in 85 when the 85 Bears just demolished the New England Patriots. But like normally you don't, like I think Peyton had a game when they played Seattle. They got
43-8, but I think it was.
Yeah, it was something crazy. But I wonder if people have gone back when these games have been lopsided and said, hey, we want some of our money back. Like, I wonder, I'm sure there's something in the contract that says there's no refunds and we're not putting any rebates on it.
Yeah, we'll give you some FS1 and we'll give you fishing on FS2. So shut the hell up. So in all honesty, there was a period of time in the 80s where a bunch of these games were duds. If you remember, for instance, Jerry Rice, 49ers beat Denver 55-10, which caused in the fourth quarter a lot of. I've gotten really good at that. So those are just some thoughts. Did you watch any of the commercials and then say to yourself at the end of it, not only was it stupid, but I don't even know what company it was for?
Yep.
There were some bad ones, man. I didn't really pay too much because I don't really get into that. I'm a channel, so when it goes to commercial, I turn it to something else and then I turn it back. I really didn't watch them. I watched a few of them. I tell you what, I don't know what's going on with the halftime shows either. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but
well, let's face it, it's not your demographic, not mine.
It's not yours either.
I don't understand what the halftime shows are doing. I don't know, man. Crazy.
Well, you're not likely. Look, in the future, I don't think you'll see Billy Joel singing A New York State of Mind.
Probably not. Probably not. I mean, I get it. I understand it. But I just, I don't know, man. I get turned off by the halftime shows now. I really do. I don't even watch it.
There was a woman detained, I guess, at the end of the halftime show who put up some sort of a flag that wasn't supposed to be there.
That was a man, actually.
It was a man
running around, yeah.
Okay.
And
really,
there was something that came out about that. I don't know if they've done something to him or not, but yeah, I didn't notice that until this morning, though.
Yeah. So here's another thing. People ask, why do they have a 5-hour pregame show? Because, I mean, let's face it. If you're willing to watch 5 hours of that, you need help. But my guess is the reason for it. Okay, so you've got these people these companies that are willing to pay $8 million in game. My guess is that pregame is a much lower number, and there are probably a lot more people that say, oh, I can fit that in my budget. I remember, gosh, when they topped $1 million for a 30, and everybody was like, oh, $1 million.
Yeah.
And now 8 million, and some of these are dumb.
Guys, I didn't even know. This shows you how uninterested I've been. I did not even know what network it was on. I had to channel surf and figure out what network it was on. And I'm like, so now it's on Fox. So we don't have Troy and we don't have Joe Buck. So who are we going to get? And then I was like, oh, we're going to get Brady. What did y'all think about Brady? How do y'all like Brady as an announcer?
I couldn't really hear much of the volume, but I've always liked
Did you need a hearing aid?
Well, I wasn't locked into the volume on the broadcast.
Okay. So to me, he's gotten better. Now, this whole I'm an owner of the Raiders thing is bull. You're either one or the other, but the league should put a stop to one of the two.
You think?
Just my opinion.
Yeah. He didn't say anything about it on the broadcast, though, did he?
No, but here's where it got really awkward. Okay, he's given, in the Detroit game when they played when the Redskins Commanders beat Detroit, he intentionally did not bring up Ben Johnson one time in the telecast.
Yeah.
At the time, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, now the new coach of the Bears, because the belief was that Brady and his group were about to hire Ben Johnson. As it turned out, the Bears beat him to the punch.
I can see that. I understand that. I just I don't mind Brady. I mean, I think he's come a long way. Obviously, he's done some. I don't mind him. I like the way I just get crazy. People just talk sometimes, and they're like, I can't stand listening to Tom Brady. I can't stand listening, and I'm like, these guys actually. I don't understand what the big deal is. I thought he did a pretty good job. That was his first Super Bowl. I didn't think it was bad.
No, now somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, that he wore, and apparently it was visible, was a $600,000 watch.
I saw 800.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the record, I want it known that I can't afford a watch.
That's Brady.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not doing that.
Is that really necessary?
I guess his tells better time than a Seiko from Walmart. I mean, I don't know.
By the way, Brady's now like the NFL spokesperson. I mean, did you see the video? And I know it was for the fires in
This
LA.
was the.
But
Are you talking about the hate commercial?
Yeah, the hate was Snoop Dogg.
That one too, but he was everywhere. I mean, I felt like he's the NFL commissioner now. I mean, he leaves the NFL and he becomes even more present.
The commissioner, $44 million a year.
Yes.
By the way, is it possible that he could take a pay cut?
It's possible, but will he?
No.
No, I don't think so. Billy, do you have an update with any substance whatsoever?
It's got some substance.
Does it?
Yep. It's brought to you by Lori Barnette Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. By the way, congrats to a couple of former Vandy players, Oren Burks and Kari Blasingame, who were on the Eagles. Also, MTSU, former MTSU player Reed Blankenship as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So, a couple of local ties there. Also in the NFL, the Jets are expected to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Shocker to no one.
I'm shocked. So, okay.
Haters. Y'all are haters, man. Why are y'all haters on Aaron?
Let's ask the question. Should the Titans consider him?
No.
I would.
I wasn't asking you. I was asking the NFL quarterback in the room.
I would. I've always. I don't. You hear so many things. You hear he's a great teammate from these guys. He's not a good team. I don't like. Who cares? Like, can he come and can he win games? I don't know that anymore either. Now I would have to really think about that one because the guy's 41 years old. He's coming off an Achilles deal. He didn't play great last year, but they couldn't protect him. It's kind of like the situation that they got right now with the Titans. They have problems with protection. So I don't know, but I would. I think he's arguably the most talented guy I've ever seen play the quarterback position. Now, he hasn't won the Super Bowl, so he's not going to get names with Brady and Peyton and with all.
He's won one.
I know he's won one, but he's never going to get the recognition. I think the guy he's an unbelievably talented guy. When you talk about a thrower of a football, Aaron Rodgers is the guy for me. I mean, he's never going to get mentioned with the Joe Montanas and the Bradys and the Peytons. I understand that. I get it. But, like, the guy can play ball. He had some NFC championship games where he messed the pooch up there in Green Bay, and that's what everybody remembers. But man, the guy's really good. So I would, like, for a year, I would take all the baggage that comes with him.
So Billy, you say no. I say that on that board somewhere in Titan Central, that when you're putting down potential quarterback names, you have to at least put him up there and have a discussion.
But if the Jets don't want him, why should the Titans?
Well, what is it the Jets have done that should have the Titans worried about the Jets?
But it's exactly that. The Jets have done nothing in the and they're the franchise that doesn't want Aaron Rodgers.
Well, but different teams have different situations.
Yeah, and they got a different coach now. He wants to move on. He wants to get his own guy. I get it.
The situation, I feel like it's too much of a risk with the situation the Titans are in right now. I feel like you'd be at risk.
What's a risk for a year? If he don't work, so be it. But he's got a proven track record, Billy.
But how old
and if
is
you
he?
could, I told you he's 41 years old. I mean, I get it. You know, I get
for
that.
all we know, he could retire. I don't know.
Think he's going to retire on that.
I think, why wouldn't you take a younger guy that also can do some things?
That may not be the point. The point may be that all three options are out there. Bringing Will Levis back, drafting a quarterback, signing a veteran.
Yeah.
Right?
I wouldn't.
Three
Absolutely.
could be out there.
Absolutely.
In other words,
I wouldn't bring in Rodgers.
right now you're taking on water.
Why would you not bring in Rodgers? Right? Just give us a little bit more. Why would you not bring him?
You talk about the track record. He's been banged up. He didn't stay healthy this year either. And
He's 41.
Exactly. I don't. He's too old. He's not going to hold up
the
behind
right
that
situation. He's
line.
been there. He's done that, Billy.
You want to put a cripple behind this Titans offensive line?
When they sign him, I'm going to tell him we have a young guy on the show that says you're too old.
Because
anyway,
he is.
Move on.
But the Eagles, just a day after winning the Super Bowl, are going to lose their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. And Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie said last night that he expects him to become the next Saints head coach.
Boy, old Jeffrey really went out on a limb there.
Yeah.
The only surprise is that it wasn't Dallas, because that's where he was rumored first.
And Dallas goes with Schottenheimer instead of him.
Right. Nashvilleian Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah. Also, college basketball, busy weekend in the sport. New AP poll has Auburn still at number 1, even though they lost to Florida at home. I thought Alabama maybe should have been number 1, but they'll sort that out this weekend.
Well, let me ask you this, because I thought all along that everybody was jumping to conclusions that had Auburn not built up kind of a one-game pad over everybody, where even if they did lose, they still ought to be number 1?
Yeah, I mean, I see why Auburn's still number 1. They're there for the 5th straight week, but obviously that'll be sorted out this weekend. Like I said, they got 34 first-place votes from the 61-person panel. Alabama moved up a spot. They had 23 first-place votes. Just behind Auburn, so it was a tight race. Florida has 3 top votes, and Tennessee got 1 as well. They are at number 5. UConn fell out of the poll after losing to St. John's on Friday night. Big win for Rick Pitino. And you also saw
against a coach in up at old UConn, Danny Hurley, who told an official, quote, "I'm the best effing coach in the country."
Might have been a mistake.
But a little bit of himself.
Speaking of Auburn, number 1 Auburn, they are in Nashville to play Vandy tomorrow night, 6:00. And then Saturday, like I said, it'll be number 1 Auburn at number 2 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Average ticket price there, $800.
Sweet. Kelly, we will do the show tomorrow from Memorial Gym. And looking forward to that.
By the way, it's the first time a number 1 and number 2 will play inside the SEC for the first time in the conference's history. You had Memphis and Tennessee. That was the last number 1, number 2, but that was non-conference game. And then lastly, Tiger Woods said he is still processing the death of his mother and will not play in this week's Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines in California, unfortunately. So continued prayers for him and his family.
Absolutely. Okay, after the break, we'll spend the 3:00 hour on the Super Bowl. Then at 4:00, Taylor Barnette will join us to talk about another just wild Saturday in the SEC. We'll open up the phone lines around 4:20 for your Super Bowl thoughts, your college basketball thoughts, whatever it is you want to get into. We will do it at 4:20. We'll go to our first break. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number 1, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey, it's Kevin Ingram. The homestand continues for Vanderbilt as the Commodores take on Auburn Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Join Tim Thompson and me for all the coverage starting at 5:30.
Your sports live here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Really?
Yes.
Put yourself on camera. As you know, on Friday, even though you gave me these looks like, what? I picked Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl.
Good for you, George. Is that what you want me to say?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't think the Eagles had a chance to be as dominant as they were. I knew they could win the game. But, I mean, like Kelly said, that was felt over pretty early.
So if you had said to me, okay, give me kind of the blueprint of what kind of game we're talking about, I would have said Philly wins 32-29, 31-28, 28-25, high scoring, crazy back and forth. And instead, Kelly, what we got was a Philly defense that looked like they were shot out of the 85's Bears cannon. You know, just looked ridiculously dominating. And I'm like, okay, I remember Philly playing Green Bay in the playoffs. I watched the game against the Rams. I watched the game against the Commanders. I don't remember that level of dominance. What happened?
They had a lot of bulletin board material up there. They got tired of hearing that stuff. A lot of times that happens, George. They got tired of hearing about the Kansas City Chiefs and the three-peat and how many games Patrick Mahomes has won, and they were kind of an afterthought. Everybody was picking the Chiefs, and nobody wanted to pick against Mahomes. And I told y'all the other day on Thursday, it was tough. It's tough to pick against him, but they used the same game plan. But that's what Vic Fangio does. I was with Vic Fangio a long time ago when I was with the Indianapolis Colts. I like him a lot. He's He understands the game. He's been around the game. He's been a defensive coordinator for a long time. Heck, he's been a head coach. Didn't work out when he was with I think it was the Broncos, but um, they were able to control the line of scrimmage with their 4 guys. And if you can do that, and you can put 7 guys in coverage, and I've said this over and over again, George. A lot of times, just like what happened in Buffalo. Now, Buffalo's defense is not near as good as Philadelphia's, but they were very disciplined in their rush lanes. If you noticed, they never got way past him when they were rushing on the outside. They kind of stayed to his upfield shoulder, and then when you do that, you don't give him an out. He's got to move up into the pocket, and when you move up in the pocket, you've got Jordan Davis, you got Jalen Carter, those guys just mashing it back. And that's what happened to him yesterday. He had nowhere to go. Plus those guys, I mean, those big guys can run. And there was one time where he tried to escape to the right, and I forget who it was, but the big guy ended up. It was one of the first series of the game, and he almost threw an interception. But one of the big guys was able to put his hands on him. And here's the deal, guys. I say it all the time, but Al Davis talked about it. When you affect the quarterback, you affect the game. And that's what happened. Rex Ryan said it this morning on ESPN. When you're able to hit the quarterback and your whole team sees that, and that hasn't happened in years, that's kind of a demoralizing deal. It's like when you're on offense and the defense knows you're going to run the football and they put so many guys in the box, yet you still are able to gash them with 6, 7, 8 yards a pop. That's so demoralizing. That's the same thing that happens when you're a defensive front that is hitting the quarterback over and over. It's demoralizing not only to your offense because you can't get going, but it's demoralizing to those guys over there sitting on the bench watching it. I know Chris Jones, when DeAndre Hopkins, it looked like he kind of stumbled. I don't know what happened on that play because that was going to be a big game, but you can see the life going out of those guys each and every play. And the Philadelphia Eagles came ready to play. They were tired of hearing all that. Their defensive line dominated the game, and they kept Patrick Mahomes off the field. Their offense stayed on the field. Now, I thought Kansas City's defense did a really good job on Saquon Barkley. But you put the game in Jalen Hurts' hands. Jalen Hurts beat you yesterday. He threw the ball well. He ran when he had an opportunity to run. He didn't take off running before he needed to. Stayed in the pocket. Their offensive line is really dynamic. They're really good. They're really athletic. They probably got the best offensive line. Them and the Detroit Lions. I don't know if y'all saw that stat. Did y'all see that stat this year about the Philadelphia Eagles and their average was 6'6", 326, and the first Super Bowl, the average height and weight of those guys was 6'3", 245 in Super Bowl 1 to Super Bowl 59, 6'6", 326, or it might have been 336. I don't know, but those guys can move people and they can protect Jalen Hurts, and you just saw a dominant performance by the Eagles yesterday.
Okay, your assessment of lane integrity is spot on. That was one of the things. Everybody talks it. Stay in your lane. Don't let him get outside you. Everybody talks it, but nobody does it. The Houston Texans, I think, have a really good front four, but their lane integrity of Kansas City against KC in the playoffs wasn't worth squat. He ran around all over the place. My guess is in those 2 weeks, they showed their guys some film of it and said, you've got to keep him in this small window. And Kelly, I thought they did that better than any team I have seen all year.
They did. They were perfect with that. That's what I keep saying. But you get here's the situation, George. You get egos involved. You get guys that want to make sacks. And when you get into the Super Bowl, you want to win the game. And if you allow him to get out of the pocket, that's where he does a lot of his damage. Well, those guys, I was really impressed yesterday with watching that. They were rushing outside, and they never went above his upfield shoulder, and they made him come up in the pocket. And when you do that, you got those two nasty dudes that can move people, and he had nowhere to go. I thought they did an unbelievable job with being selfless to the team. Nick Sirianni said it after the game. He's like, this team, we're a true team. Guys put their selfishness aside and played ball. And that's what they did yesterday, George. And it takes a lot when you get to the National Football League to tell a grown man, hey, they might have had some incentives to go get, but we're after
Right.
a ring. And if we do this, we will win the game. It's the same thing the Tampa Bay Bucks did. They were fortunate to be able to rush him with 4, get 7 guys in the backfield. And yesterday, just like Cooper DeJean, he intercepted that ball. They were just reading his eyes. And that's what they were doing. They were reading his eyes, and they kept him in the pocket. When he did get out of the pocket, they had guys around him. And he just, I was listening to the stuff this morning. He was unsure of himself yesterday. Like, he was going through his progressions really fast once the game started going in the first 7-8 minutes. He knew that these guys were coming after him and that they were struggling blocking them, and he knew that he had to get rid of the ball. So sometimes he wasn't even letting the things develop before he was looking for something else, and that kind of got him. You don't ever really see Patrick Mahomes in that situation, but yesterday Philly they made him uncomfortable in the pocket, and that's why they won the game.
Billy, think about a year ago. Philly, at the midway mark of the NFL season, a year ago, completely falls apart. Goes into the playoffs with like a 5-game losing streak. Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield just beat the holy crap out of them in Tampa, bounced them in the opening round. There was all this talk of Jalen Hurts and Sirianni not getting along, not speaking, all kinds of internal issues. Man, somebody must have patched something up.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen a transformation, at least. I mean, the fans fired Sirianni. I mean, they wanted him fired, they wanted him out. But this year, and even this year started off slow, but to turn it around, and as dominant as they were in the last 2 games, they won the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game by 18-plus points. And it's been a while since any team has dominated those 2 biggest games of the playoffs the way the Eagles had. And what Sirianni did, I mean, he deserves a ton of credit. Vic Fangio does too. But what Sirianni did to revive his tenure in Philly and cobble these guys together, they had talent, but I think he deserves a ton of credit to because it takes a lot, like Kelly's talked about, to get a group of men in the NFL to play to one goal, and he did it.
See if you'll all buy this. So we're all totally stunned. It's 24-0 at the half. And yet there's this little piece of Andy Reid will go in at halftime. He'll make some adjustments. This is not some fool that, fell off a turnip truck. And they will come out, and in the opening drive of the second half, they will say, hey, not so fast. Well, didn't work out that way. Mahomes got sacked twice on that drive. And Kelly, when that happened, mentally, I said, you want me to do it a little louder?
Do it a little louder.
I mean, that's where mentally I clicked it off. I didn't. But mentally, I kind of did and said, if these are the halftime adjustments, this is done. It is over.
I'm sure that we've got some Kansas City fans that are going to be upset at me for saying this, but I've been in that offense before. And the halftime adjustment situation, they're going to do what they're going to do, George. And I was on a team that ran this offense, the West Coast deal. I was on a team, and we were having trouble with the edges, and we never caught up to it. We never made any adjustments to it. I was like, why can we not use a back to chip? Why can we not keep a tight end in and let him slow release? Make it wider for him to help the tackle, put his hands on him, then go out maybe to a flat or maybe to a stick, something. But we never did that. And they got two yesterday. It just felt like that, you know what? The Philadelphia Eagles' main goal was to hit Patrick Mahomes and make it hard on him. I think they ran the ball 3 times in the first half. Now, they weren't on the field much in the first half, which was a great game plan, and that's what you want if you're Philly. Keep him on the sideline, we stay on the field. But they ran the ball for 3 plays. And I just don't think that you can allow a pass rush like Philly who can get after the quarterback. Those guys just bent their ears back and they said, hey, we're not worried about the run game. We're going to hit Patrick Mahomes. And if they hand the ball off to Pacheco, if they hand the ball, we're going to tackle him on our way to getting to Patrick Mahomes. And that's kind of what they did. I've never seen teams that have been in the West Coast deal. I'm not saying this happens, George, but I've been in those situations where they're going to do what they're going to do. I knew. I've told y'all this before. When I went to Philly, when I got traded from Philly to Minnesota, I did not even have to look at the itinerary. I knew what time practice started, what time breakfast was, because it's all Bill Walsh stuff from the 1970s. They hadn't changed it. Now everybody puts their own little nuances in there, but I knew what was going on. They will not change it. There's some things that have gone on since Bill Walsh was the coach, and they won't change it. So I don't know. I didn't expect much, but Bruce has said, I've talked to Bruce about it before, and he said Patrick Mahomes does a really good job. He does a really good job because he can get away with things that most guys can't, and that helps that offense. I promise you.
Okay, after the break, we're going to talk more about what do the Chiefs, as they flew home today, what kind of thoughts were going through their heads. And, oh, by the way, given the fact that the Titans now have a Kansas City guy as their GM, did it not reinforce you damn well better fix your offensive line? Because if you don't, what we saw last night is going to continue at Nissan Stadium. Stay tuned.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We'll open up the phone lines today at 4:20. We're talking reactions to what was a pretty shocking Super Bowl. Maybe you thought Philly would win, but I bet you never thought they'd be up 40-6. That final score is nowhere near indicative of how KC got the crap kicked out of them. So, Kelly, Billy, let's assume that New Orleans to Kansas City is about a 2-hour flight. On the way home, do you think some of those players maybe had this thought, and maybe Andy Reid did too? Patrick Mahomes has masked more stuff, deficiencies that we had that only showed up yesterday than anybody could have imagined.
They hadn't seen a defense like that all season. I mean, no, there wasn't a defense, a front seven specifically, that could have done that to Patrick Mahomes. And Sweat, number 19, I felt like he was everywhere. Davis, Milton, I mean, they didn't blitz a single time, Kelly. 0 blitzes. And I don't know how many sacks they had, 5? 6. So that tells you, that's the stat that you need to know.
Patrick Mahomes has masked a lot of stuff, George. But with that being said, they're still better than 30 of the other teams. You know, I mean, it's just like Philly kind of showed them like what true team, like being able to get after the quarterback with 4 guys, not having to bring another guy. Because that's when you start bringing more guys and then you start manning guys up outside, that's when you can make hay if you're a quarterback. But when you're getting pressure with 4 guys, they're keeping you in the pocket, they're playing zone, they're just reading your eyes. That's a tough deal now. And sometimes they were only rushing 3. When it got 3rd and long, they were rushing 3 guys and dropping 8. Even though the field is 53 1/3 long, it's hard to find areas in the zone right there, especially when you're still getting guys pressuring you in your face. And I'm sure they thought, yes, we have, Patrick has masked a lot of stuff. Bob Greasy did that back in the day too. They just told him, hey, if a guy comes and we don't have him blocked, go make a play. I've heard that from many people. And that's what coaches think nowadays. It's all about, hey, you got to make a play. we can give you this, but like if we can't block this guy, instead of throwing hot, you go make a play. And I've never been like that. I didn't have that athleticism that Patrick Mahomes has got, but they had to be thinking that. But still, with that being said, you're better than the majority of the teams in the National Football League, and you were in your fifth Super Bowl with a quarterback that's only been playing for 7 years, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good percentage.
If you're an AFC team like the Bengals or the Ravens or, that's lost, or the Bills that have lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, are you loading up on defensive linemen now? I mean, what they were able to do, like, why haven't the Bills been able to do that? Or why haven't the Bengals been able to do? I know that's a really talented Eagles team.
Because neither one of their defenses is worth a damn. I mean, is it that?
It's not that easy. It's not that easy, though, Billy. It's not. You have to get the right guys. You have to get free agents. You have to do really good in the draft. That guy that's the GM for Philly, man, he hit on every He hit on every one of those guys last year. The biggest being Saquon Barkley. Like, he complements what Jalen Hurts does perfectly. And their offensive line, with as big as they are, they can move people. And if they can keep this team together, there's a lot of winning ahead for the Eagles.
If I would have told you Saquon Barkley had 57 rushing yards, who do you think?
I would have said Philly's in deep. You know what?
And that did not matter one bit.
So, okay, let's go back to Kansas City for a second, because I heard one of the ESPN guys, and I kind of believe this, is they were trying to mix and match through injuries, attrition, and the fact that their offensive line wasn't that great, that the last move they attempted to make not only weakened one position, but might have weakened two. So in the draft, they got to go get them an offensive lineman or two. Right. And I think they've got to get a dynamic weapon for Mahomes. I think he's been doing this with mirrors, dink and dunk, and, they got to go get them somebody that can scare people.
Get you an A.J. Brown.
So, do you all buy that? That's really all they need. Defensively, they're there.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. I mean, New England did it a long time. They had a really good offensive line. They just kept sticking guys in there. They got Randy Moss, but Julian Edelman became the guy, and he was one of. They always had Gronk. He always had Gronk with him, though, and Travis Kelce's always been there for Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, I think that obviously probably DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to go somewhere else, or he's going to retire. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Who knows? But, yeah, you could always use players, but that seems like what Andy Reid does. He went out and got the Worthy kid. He was the fastest kid at the combine. Of course, he was hurt earlier in the year. I don't know. I know what you're talking about. They got to get a left tackle. When you put a left guard over there at left tackle, he's one of the better left guards in the NFL. But, just moving him a few feet, maybe a yard outside to the left tackle spot, that's so tough when you're used to playing a certain spot.
Stop there. Because for those of us, in my case, fifth grade gray Y, who didn't play football at the level you did, you just say, well, here on the spotters board, you just move him over one, and what the hell? Why is it not as easy as those of us who have never played think it is?
Because when you're a guard, you've got guys around you. When you're a tackle and there's a reason why those guys out at defensive ends get paid all that money, because they're the ones that can rush the passer. So when they get out there on an island by themselves and you're not chipping, or you don't have a tight end over there to help you kind of, lengthen that process where you can put a tight end on him, put his hands on him, kind of slow him down, and then the tackle can take him over. It's a hard deal, because that's why the defensive ends get paid, and that's why left tackles get paid, because normally it's a right-handed quarterback, and you're protecting his blind side, and you're out there one-on-one with these giants that can run, that's got these big long arms, that are strong, that know how to use leverage. Bruce Smith, I used to watch him, and I was marveled at him because he was such a big guy, but his first step was unbelievably quick, and he could get on a quarterback so fast. That's why those guys make that money. That's why left tackles make that money. But when you put the Tunney guy out there, and he is used to being at a guard, he's a really good football player too. He's been around for a long time, but it just shows you just how hard it is to go from left guard to left tackle. And when you're out there on an island, and when he was on that Sweat guy, the Sweat guy was using leverage. He had no shot against him. He really didn't. And it kind of showed, because I think they've been covering that up as a Band-Aid. You talk about they're going to have some offensive linemen, but Patrick Mahomes has done so much to mask the problem. They've had him out there for a couple of weeks, but it really didn't bother him. But this game it did, because they had 4 dudes that can rush the passer, and the guy that he was on is kind of elite at doing that.
Okay, as for Philly, y'all tell me if you think this is fair. There is no question that there's great talent there. You got wide receivers. You got a great tight end in Dallas Goedert. You got a quarterback who we now know is good enough to win a Super Bowl, even if Alabama didn't think he was good enough to win a national title. He's now a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
To me, the big question is not on the field. There's been something all along between Jalen Hurts and Sirianni. I don't think they like each other. I think they tolerate each other, and that's about the extent of it. If they've imploded once, which they did a year ago, could they implode again? Billy, I say in Philadelphia, when you've got all that external pressure from a media that is relentless, it could happen.
Yeah, I never thought they would get back to this point with this team, back to the Super Bowl after. I mean, I remember talking about it on the show that Sirianni, it's not looking good for him. He's probably out of here.
Dead man walking.
Yeah, but
now he's walking.
But now you get a Super Bowl, and Kelly, I think if anything, it might shouldn't it calm the waters a little bit? Like, hey, you got a this era got us. I know Philly fans are different, but you got a Super Bowl, man. I mean, what is they can't just forget about that next year.
It's really funny that y'all are asking this question, because I've got really inside information on that, and I'm going to go as far as I can without letting everybody know. But if you just look, and you're looking from the outside in, Jalen Hurts is not a rah-rah guy.
No.
Nick Sirianni is a rah-rah guy. He's very emotional.
Ooh.
So without me going any further, that kind of shows you where that is. Like, if you start this is kind of a crazy analogy, but if you start, yelling or demanding stuff from Jalen Hurts, and his personality, Jalen Hurts' personality is kind of like a cat. He's going to go off in the corner, and he's going to want to be left alone. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they had their, like, one's a calculated, I'm going to sit on the bench, I am focused, but I'm not a rah-rah guy. And Sirianni thinks that the quarterback needs to be a rah-rah guy, and that's just not what Jalen Hurts is. But just like Billy said, it just won him a Super Bowl. So obviously there's more ways to skin a cat. And Sirianni needs to let that be and let Jalen Hurts do what he does, because you can tell the guy's a leader. He's a hard worker. He leads by example. And to deal with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was getting frustrated yesterday. Y'all saw on the sideline when I think he had Jalen Hurts was thinking that he was going to try to back shoulder him again. I don't know what went on there, but him and Sirianni kind of got into it a little bit. I know he said something, and then Sirianni said something back to him. A.J. Brown is he can be a little bit of a problem, but there's, every NFL team has those problems, and you've got to be able to fix those problems before they get out of hand. And last year they weren't able to do that, and that's why they imploded during the end of the season, and they got blown out by Tampa.
For the record, we never saw AJ's book yesterday.
I think I saw it.
Did you?
I thought I saw it after his touchdown.
Was he reading?
I thought they showed it with it in his hand. It was like a few seconds.
I guess mentally I had gone.
Checked out.
That was a loud one, wasn't it?
I checked out as well.
After the break, we're going to go stat of the day, but I'll admit I've been sent one that's better than whatever you're going to throw out there. And then Taylor Barnette on a crazy Saturday in the SEC. We'll open the phones at 4:20. Thanks for being with us. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show, has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths, and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Taylor Barnette. First stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going college basketball for stat of the day. Florida became only the 5th team in NCAA history to beat 2 number 1 teams in the same season. Who was the last team to accomplish this? A little hint, it was recent.
Who was the other number 1 they've beaten?
Tennessee.
Oh, that's right. Tennessee was number 1 at that point. You know what I think, Kelly?
Tennessee.
I think we ought to dump this in Taylor's lap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Dump
I
it.
mean, he's supposed to be big college basketball expert. Taylor Barnette, ladies and gentlemen, joining us very quickly. Taylor, can you see the stat of the day question?
I can.
Mhm.
Florida became only the 5th team in NCAA history to defeat 2 number 1 teams in the same season. Who was the last team to accomplish this? It was recent. Okay. That's a good question. I don't know. The first team that comes to my mind is Texas Tech when Chris Beard was there.
Okay. I'm going back maybe too far. The year Tennessee beat Memphis in Memphis, when Memphis was number 1, by the way, I was once that school's announcer. Did they also beat Kentucky that year, who maybe was number 1? Billy, whatever you do not show us Texas Tech.
It is Alabama.
Alabama.
2023.
Who'd they beat?
Not sure.
Well,
Okay.
Billy.
Yeah.
Billy.
I don't do
Billy.
That's
I know
fun.
you don't do stat of the day, but be prepared, homie. Good gracious. Gym shoe operation.
Oh, on that, we welcome all of you into the 4 o'clock hour from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. If you're watching by way of podcast, left to right on your radio dial, yours truly, former NFL quarterback Kelly Holcomb and Taylor Barnette, who some believe needs a haircut.
We're back on that, huh? We're back on that.
Well, even your dad was on it when I talked to him last week.
I've got one lined up, so don't you worry about me, George.
Do you really?
Yeah, man. It just
Exactly.
grows fast. What do you want me to do?
Where will the trim happen?
Yeah, later this week.
Well, no, I mean as far as positioning.
What am I going to do with it?
Well, I mean, it looks like, from what I remember of you as a player, that some things have kind of taken off a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
go see my guy, and he's got it down, and then I go see him again a few months later. I mean, that's just what it is.
I was at the Belmont game Saturday. I did not see you there.
I was not present, but Tyler Lundblade's 9 threes. I could feel those from anywhere.
Man, he was on fire. Good win for them as they continue what to me is a pretty darn good season based on all they lost before this season ever started.
Yeah, they've done a heck of a job. I mean, they lost, I think, 45 points a game between Jacoby, Cade, and Malik Dia, who are all now, one's at Ole Miss, one's at North Carolina, and one's at Maryland. This year feels like a more traditional Belmont team in a lot of ways, where you could look up at the box score and see that, the starting 5, everyone's got 10 to 12 points. They really do it by a collective group. They're continuing to improve on the defensive end. That's kind of been the struggle, was, letting teams score in the 80s and 90s on a consistent basis. So, but they've really, Saturday was a great win, just at home to defend your home court. And it's a tough league. So I have a feeling you're going to finish strong.
So I want to throw one out there at you. You've been on both sides of this wagon, where you've been involved on the college level as a coach, and you've also been at a Louisville program when it was kind of in tough sledding and all the rumors are going on. So over the weekend, Indiana and Michigan play each other. Michigan is coached by Dusty May, who has a past history as a student manager at Indiana. So guess what? When the game's over, that's all anybody wants to talk to him about.
Sure.
And to be honest, it felt to me like he gave answers that said, I have to say the right thing, but yeah, my heart's at Indiana. And in the old days, a coach could absolutely not leave one place to go to another after 1 year. It was like there was in the 11th commandment, thou shalt not leave one school after 1 year. And it feels like that commandment has been blurred. Do you think Dusty May goes to Indiana?
You know, that's a really good question. It makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know what his buyout is at Michigan. I don't know all the terms of his contract. I don't know what Indiana is willing to pay. They're going to owe Woodson a lot of money. They might have to pay Michigan to get Dusty May out of his contract there early. I'm not sure. I think the logistics of how all that's going to play out definitely plays into that. Could I see it happening? Absolutely. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and he's been phenomenal the last few years, and I think it would be an outstanding hire. He's young, and he clearly knows what he's doing. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and I could see it happening.
I guess the surprising thing for me, Taylor, he had one of two roads to go down. He could have said, listen, don't ask me. I'm not going to talk about it. It's a no-win deal, whatever I say. Instead, he opened up his heart and said, number one, I'm flattered that my name's being brought up. Heck yeah, I've got some past history. You know, I've got a lot of heart in Indiana. So this is a really tough deal. And it felt like he almost opened it up so much that a cynic like me could say, he's dying to have somebody knock on his door and say, want to talk?
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate the fact that it feels like he's being real in some ways. And, you know, you don't want to say too much. You don't want the Michigan fan base to be upset or your administration there to be upset with you. So there's definitely a game to be played. But, I mean, I don't know him. But if he wants to be at Indiana, I'm sure he's trying to say the right things in order for that conversation to get started. But the reality of it is, you know, the way that he's coached the last few years and what he was able to do at Florida Atlantic and what he's doing at Michigan this year is more than enough to get the conversation started. And they're not naive. I mean, Indiana knows. And it just goes back to how all of this is it's like musical chairs. Now coaches and players. And it's difficult. But it is what it is at this point.
Okay. Because some of us in this are so close to the forest that maybe we can't see the trees, we are amazed at every Saturday in the SEC. You've just got one buzzer beater after another. All these games are, you know, 2-possession, single-digit games. And then you have Tennessee go to Oklahoma and just absolutely lay waste to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess what I kind of want to know from you is all these thoughts we had about, well, Tennessee's got offensive limitations and there's a certain level and they can't go past this. Is that all out the window now?
I don't know if it's out the window. I mean, the reality is the good thing about Tennessee is they have the #1 defensive rating in the country. So if they have a bad night offensively, they can rely on their defense. So I trust Tennessee to win games when they're not playing well offensively. Not all of them, but some of them when they're playing a good team. And that's the reality of every team is there's going to be off nights, but can you rely on your defense to win games? And Tennessee has done that.
I'd like to have a ticket tomorrow night, Tennessee, Kentucky. So what do you think? You know, there's a chess match and then there's point counterpoint. And, you know, it's only been 2 weeks ago that they played. And now they're going to Rupp, which obviously is a huge advantage for Kentucky.
Yep.
Do you think Kentucky tries to play it the same way and says, okay, you and you, we're going to back off until you hit one?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a bad idea. And Kentucky's the worst rated defensive team in the SEC. I think they're 90th in the country. So to me, you got to get a little creative when you're in those certain positions. I think that Tennessee is still – it's the clash of two totally different teams, quite honestly. One, I feel like in Tennessee is built on toughness and defense, and Kentucky feels way more skilled and offensive-minded. It's the number one rated defensive team in the country, which means also the SEC, and the worst rated team defensively in the SEC in Kentucky. So I'm interested to see how those two things clash.
Kelly, say hello to Taylor Barnette.
Taylor, what's up, man?
Kelly, what's going on?
I'm not worried about your hair, dude. Who cares? Tell George to go jump in traffic. How about that?
No, wait, hold on a second. Would you tell Taylor's dad to do that?
I'm not. Hey, I'm talking about Taylor. I ain't talking about Taylor's dad. You're friends with Taylor's dad. I'm just talking
George
to Taylor
manages to get Ross in every single segment. I'm sure he loves it.
Ross, if you're up there in Lexington watching, thank you.
So talking about Kentucky, like how does that happen defensively with you just can't get these guys to figure it out? And do you think Mark Pope can get this thing turned around? They beat South Carolina the other day, which we all know the pitfalls of South Carolina. They're not a bad basketball team, and not in the SEC. They're not very good this year. So can he get this thing turned around? And then what's going on with them defensively? It seems like that's where everything's got to start, but doesn't start there, obviously.
Yeah. Well, for one, I would say he has gotten it turned around. I mean, I think he's doing an awesome job in his first year there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a totally different style and brand of basketball, and I know that people in Lexington are happy to watch that offense night in and night out. I know that to be true. Now, I also know to be true is that the expectation of Kentucky fans is let's win a national championship every single year, and in order to do that, you have to play defense. And now I know Lamont Butler is the guy for them. He's the leader. He sets the tone, and he's missed some games, and that's hurt them defensively. But it didn't just start when he got hurt. I think that there is a focus of offense there that may be lacking on the defensive end. I believe that defense, you have to have some sort of skill and know what you're doing and be in the right position. But at the end of the day, I think defense boils down to toughness and effort, and it's a choice in a lot of ways. And I think that these guys really got to dig in and come together and start playing team defense and guard the ball and have the will to get stops. And, we'll see when the SEC tournament comes and these games, and then the NCAA tournament, when you lose, you go home, what that choice is.
Were you surprised with the Florida-Auburn game the other day? Florida, Tennessee goes to Florida. They get whipped by Florida, and then they come to Tennessee, and Tennessee whips them, and then they go to Auburn, and they beat Auburn at Auburn, which George says that was not going to happen this year, but it did happen. So I kind of chuckled at that one. But were you surprised? This Florida team seems like a really good basketball team.
Oh, they're great. They move the ball well. They play hard. Their bigs are underrated. I mean, they play hard and they're skilled. They rebound. They go to the offensive glass. Walter Clayton is such a good point guard, and he can really score. I mean, Will Richard from Belmont transfers in third year at Florida now. I mean, he's having a great year. I think they're really complete. And it was bound. I mean, it was bound to happen where Auburn was going to drop one. And Florida is a really good team. So that's a tough game.
So, are you surprised? We're looking at this right here, and I'm sure it's happened before. I just don't remember it. But I've said it before. The SEC is known for a football conference, but now they've got so many good coaches and so many good players at the basketball level. When has there ever been a time where the 4 of the top 5 have been SEC teams?
I don't know, honestly. I really don't. Maybe when back in, 08, 09, when Florida won back-to-back national championships, and maybe Kentucky has always been really good historically. But the answer is I don't know, and I don't think it has happened. I'm sure I could be wrong there. I think
never is probably the answer.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I think that the SEC is just an absolute anomaly this year. I'll be interested to see what happens next year and if this level of play in the SEC can sustain. But it really is something to watch this year.
So the last couple of years, UConn has been dominant
Mm-hmm.
They have had dominant players at seems like every position. They get coached hard. Like, is the cupboard bare going on right now, or the teams in the Big East getting better? I'm sure that's happening because Rick Pitino's got St. John's playing well, Marquette's playing well. But where is this UConn team? And then George said something earlier where Danny Hurley told some was it a ref, George, and he said, I'm the best coach in college basketball.
He was pissed off that a ref blew him off, and he yelled at the guy, I'm the best effing coach in America. Don't turn your back on me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
that.
the case right now. But what's going on with UConn, and can they get it turned around? Coach B swears up and down that he's kind of a dark horse. They're a dark horse for him for the NCAA tournament. But right now, it sure doesn't look that way.
Yeah, I mean, they just got Liam McNeely back, who's a great player, a top recruit. Obviously they didn't beat St. John's with him, but it takes some time to get in the flow when you have guys out and they come back and rotations change, and a guy now that's been playing 25 minutes a game, his minutes go down, he's a little upset. I think that they very well could make a run in March. But yeah, I think the teams, I mean, St. John's is playing great. I mean, Rick Pitino has the best personnel that fits him that he's had since he's been back in coaching, with those guards up front and the way that they press and push the pace. But I also just don't think like Connecticut is as good this year. Like, I don't think they have as much talent as they once had. They've lost a lot. And so, they're having to adjust, and the expectation is so high of a three-peat. We saw last night how hard a three-peat is to do. So I just don't think that they're as good as they have been the last 2 years. I don't think they're as complete. They're lacking a little bit, but they have the opportunity, and the ceiling is still high to get better.
So we had Coach Alexander on the other day, and I was talking about one young man. You love watching his team play. They play hard. They play to the end. But he's got the Pierre kid that is just smooth. He can shoot the ball. Have you seen him play? And I'm wondering if he's going to be one of these. I think, is he a senior? Is he a senior this year?
Yeah, it's his last year.
Yeah, yeah. So he got him. Like, have you seen him play? And what do you think for his future? He looks like, to me, he can go somewhere and play ball.
Yeah, he's had a great year. I mean, he can really shoot. He stretches the floor. He's skilled. What people may not recognize is that he's an amazing passer. He had an insane assist to turnover ratio a couple years ago at the D2 school. I'm forgetting the name that he transferred from when he first transferred to Memphis, but it might have been like the best in the country. He's a great passer. He makes his teammates better. He's almost like a point forward in some ways, at least in the half court, which is awesome to play with if you're those other guys like Tyler Lundblade, who can really shoot, 8 threes in a game, then 9 threes in a game. But yeah, he can really shoot. He's skilled. He's big. He's long. I do think he'll play for years to come.
Lipscomb, give us a little bit on Lipscomb. I know they lost Dylan Faulkner, which has been a huge deal. They've won a couple of games, tough games. I think they were in a 5-way tie for first, but I think they beat a team that was in first with them. So it seems like they've got a shot. Just give us a little bit about Lipscomb and Lenny Acuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, Lenny's been doing it a really long time. I think he's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, he's really, really good at what he does. And they have so much experience. Losing Dylan Faulkner it lowers their ceiling, I think, a little bit. He just brings a different presence. But those guys, they're so connected. They stay together. They play hard, and they've got experience at the guard position with Will Pruitt and Joe Anderson and J.O. down low, who's just a scoring machine and is versatile, can score inside and out. I mean, they've still got plenty of talent, and really it's their culture and their connectivity that I think will end up getting them the ASUN championship.
Taylor, right now, Vandy is one of the last 4 teams in, according to Joe Lenardi. Had a big win over Texas that they had to have on Saturday, but now they enter into a gauntlet, the second toughest schedule, right behind Alabama in the country. They got Auburn tomorrow night, then at Tennessee, then at Kentucky, and on and on and on. what are the chances in your, like, are you sitting here saying, yeah, this team can do it. They can get 3 more and get into the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're capable. And it's going to be interesting. This week is tough. I mean, I hate that they're having to play Auburn coming off their first loss, and Bruce Pearl's just been in those guys' ears the last 48 hours. That's the worst time to play a team, is when they're coming off a loss. That's going to be a tough one. They've obviously beat Tennessee and Kentucky at home. Both those teams are going to remember that. And they're going to go on the road in 2 really tough environments and win a rivalry game and try to get it done. I think the one they really, really, really have a chance and can capitalize on is Mississippi at home. It's not going to be easy, but I think it can be done. I think they're beatable, and I think Vanderbilt's a really good team. So this week's going to be tough. I really believe that. But anything is possible, and those guys are playing really well. And I'm glad they got that win on Saturday.
Auburn, a 9.5-point favorite. Yeah, it's a lot. Taylor?
It is.
Thank you as always. Good stuff.
Appreciate you all. Thanks for having me on.
Talk to you.
See you.
See you.
Okay. Taylor Barnette talking a little college basketball with us. We're going to open up the phones, and there's a lot to open up to. First of all, reactions to the Super Bowl, reactions to the SEC. Good Lord. What about this league? It is nutso. It's really good stuff, too, by the way. Anyway, phone lines are open at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. It was a little slow last week, so I want to get it off to a good start. Billy, how can people text questions or comments if they so desire?
Chat room's open. We've already got a couple. Just go to YouTube if that's how you watch the show. The chat room is just to the right of the screen where you're watching. You can type in your comment or question. You can also swipe up on your phone on Twitter and Facebook as well. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Hit the phones, do all that stuff. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling. They enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancos Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancos to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancos Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancosbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancos Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Hey, it's Kevin Ingram. The homestand continues for Vanderbilt as the Commodores take on Auburn Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Join Tim Thompson and me for all the coverage starting at 5:30.
Your sports live here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Monday after a Super Bowl that nobody quite saw coming the way they thought. It was nuts. It was also very one-sided. Anyway, let's get to some phone calls and some text. We'll do a little bit of both. We'll start with Eric on line 1. Eric, welcome in.
Hey, George, I tell you what, I didn't know if I'd be able to call in today. I've been having some phone issues. I finally just turned my phone off a while, cut it back on, and that's working. So it's just weird how that works.
It is crazy.
Yeah. But, George, as far as the game goes yesterday, I'm going to get to my analysis of it in a minute. But first of all, as far as the commercials, I didn't think they were that great. There were only two I really liked. I liked the Willem Dafoe pickleball commercial and the Peyton Manning game. I guess it was a rocket launcher, whatever it was, firing off the beers with that big backyard deal. I thought the commercial was sealed. The Steel's face in the seal was kind of creepy. It didn't particularly care for that. And as far as the halftime show, George, that too is not my type of music. A lot of time, I just could not understand a lot of the words being said in the songs. But at least the one thing I was happy with, it was a short halftime show because usually they're real long. I thought that was quick, but I was real happy about it being short. But as far as the game, I definitely, like a lot of people, did not expect that yesterday. And I said that was going to have to happen if the Eagles going to win, is to blow them out like they did. But I thought surely if that was going to happen, Saquon Barkley was going to have a big day, which that didn't happen. They held them to 57 yards rushing. The Kansas City defense did. But the fact is, I think the Chiefs only had something like one first down in the first half. I think they only had something like about 30 yards of total offense. If you had told me that, I would have been stunned. And also the fact that they didn't cross midfield to like midway to the third quarter. And George, I told some people this, and definitely they heard it too. I thought what was hilarious, I got a chuckle out of it, was I guess it was midway to late in the third quarter. The Philadelphia Eagles fans started trolling the Kansas City fans. They didn't show it in the crowd, but I know there's more fans there. They were doing the tomahawk chop because I heard it in the background. I started laughing.
Oh, wow. Did they really?
But yeah, you could hear it on TV. And I talked to some other people. They said, yeah, they clearly heard it, where the Eagles fans were trolling the Chiefs fans at the game with that. They didn't show shots of the crowd, but you could hear it. They're doing, I heard, whoa, late the third quarter. And that was, I believe it was the Eagles fans doing that. But as far as the game, I bet you Patrick Mahomes, if he could, wishes there was no game involved with him and Tom Brady being there. He's his kryptonite. He beat him in the wild card in the championship game a few years ago to win his last Super Bowl with the Patriots. He beat him with Tampa Bay, and he was broadcasting the game, and he lost big. So I know Patrick Mahomes supposed to avoid Tom Brady being anywhere around or near him when he's ever doing a game. And I've heard a lot of people talking about Brady and how you would grade him, but it's kind of what I've said before, George. I was telling people, you don't know how football players, they're great football players, going to do great as commentators because it doesn't always work out. But a lot of people poo-poo him and said, oh, no, he's going to do great. He's going to do great. And I said, I just remember, because I'm old enough to remember Joe Montana, Roger Staubach, who were terrible. And maybe Brady will get better. I don't know. But, yeah, everybody's out on him. And I was just laughing at the broadcast. And I did get a kick out of the fact he poked fun of himself with that, I guess, Duracell commercial where he's putting the batteries in his arm. And everybody was talking also about the watch he was wearing. But, George, I'll get off, let you get some other callers. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Eric. Did y'all like the mustache commercial?
I don't remember a
remember.
single commercial. I mean, that's how bad they were.
I seriously turned them off. I'll be honest with you. I did see the Anheuser-Busch one with the Colt to roll the the beer deal down to a pub somewhere. That's really the only one I saw. I didn't. I'm a channel. I'm a surfer, man. So when the game's off, I'm cutting it back. I'm cutting it to something else. My wife gets so infuriated with me with doing that, but it is what it is.
Billy, what do you got on the text line?
Well, we've got a comment earlier on the. Actually, Elliot here. MTSU has at least 2 Super Bowl champs. Am I missing any there? Blankenship.
Well, I know. Reed Blankenship has one, but like back in the day, Don Griffin, he had 3 with the San Francisco 49ers.
Don Griffin.
Yeah, he was the DB that started for those guys for many years. I think there's a Kansas City Chief guy that was a DB that's still playing. He might have. I'm not sure if he won one or not. I think he did, but yeah. Unfortunately I didn't make it to that. I didn't make it to that game, which kind of sucks.
Kelly, what does the winner get monetarily? Do you know?
I don't even remember anymore, George. It's a I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I can remember when each game, because the 17 paycheck stop. Or the 18 paycheck stop now when the season stops. And then if you go to the playoffs, they give you a certain amount for each playoff win. Everybody gets the same amount of money. And then if you make it to the Super Bowl, like if you win all those games and you make it, you're going to make a nice little chunk of change from making it all the way to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. There's, the team that loses gets some money too, but if you win, obviously you get more. So I don't know. I would be just guessing right now.
Clay in Nashville, you are next on 94.9 The Fan.
George, how are we?
We're good. Hope you are.
I'm doing fantastic. George, you are, real quick before I get to the Super Bowl, you are in the radio sports talk world a rock star. You have rock star status.
I thought you were going to say
30 years sports talk radio. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a little more than 30, but who's counting?
Billy, on the other hand, is a rising star in the podcast world. And I think you were jerking his chain a little bit earlier, George.
Perhaps.
Anyway, Kelly, are you okay today?
I'm wondering where this is going with me, Clay, because you always got something to say. So give it to me.
Anyway, as far as the game, I was shocked, really. I think college football, pro football, any level of football, I've always heard it starts at the line of scrimmage. And the Chiefs' offensive line just could not protect Mahomes. He was running for his life. I check stats and all that while I watch games and things like that because I'm kind of a numbers guy. His QB rating at halftime was 10.7, guys. I mean, that's really, really bad. That was just really surprising to me.
Normally, he has that before the anthem is finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we hadn't had a one-sided Super Bowl, I guess, in a while. So we finally got one. So it is what it is. Being a Cowboys fan, I'm not really all about the Eagles, let's say. I tell you what, I just hope that Jerry enjoyed it. You think Jerry enjoyed the game, George?
He said he didn't. He said he was shocked that Dallas wasn't there, which is interesting because he's the only person shocked that they weren't there.
Clay, you are a Cowboys fan?
I'm a Cowboys fan. Is that what you said?
Yes. I mean, you are a Cowboys fan. Lord help you. Sorry.
Yeah, I love the team. Love the team, despise the owner. George knows that.
Well,
anyway, go ahead, George.
No, go ahead.
anyway, that's about all I got on the Super Bowl. I'll check in on Vandy's big win, and then I'll get off and let some other callers get on. In my opinion, Mr. Jalen, I'll call him Mr. even though he's 19 years old. Mr. Jalen Carey was a grown double dollar sign man on Saturday. And I love the thing I'm really starting to love about this kid is, he's had his downs and he's, been knocked down and he's gotten back up. He's a growing, college basketball player that's trying to become really, really good. Obviously, he likes Coach Byington a lot. He came with him from James Madison. So that makes me feel good about the fact that hopefully he would stay and play for his coach. But when he, dominated the way he did in the first half, I mean, that was really, really exciting to me. And when he makes a play, be it a tip in off an offensive rebound, be it he beats his man on the block, when he lets out that yell and headbutts the basket support, I'm sorry, as a passionate Vanderbilt basketball fan, that gets a rise out of me. I mean,
probably puts a
what
welt on his head. Yeah. Hey, thank you. We'll be there tomorrow. We'll do the show live at Memorial Gym. So if you get a chance, tune in.
George, we've seen it pulled off many times. I'm not saying we're going to win. I'm just saying that building is coming back, and when it's rocking, Vandy has a chance.
Thanks for the call. Billy, what do you got in the text stuff?
Randy agrees with me earlier. He said, I like Rodgers, but he's done. Don't waste the cash. Titans don't have an O-line. Jets didn't have an O-line. So you get the same results. Argue with that. Billy showed y'all up today.
Randy, Billy hadn't shown anybody up since he's been here.
I'm with Randy.
Let me ask you this. Is Randy related to you?
No, his last name is Warren.
Well, that doesn't mean he couldn't be. I mean,
that doesn't matter, Billy. I mean, good gracious, dude.
Bad.
Where did you go to school?
Father Ryan.
I mean, good gracious, my aunt doesn't have my same last name either. I mean, what are we doing here, dude?
That was a dumb answer.
The next phone call.
Dumb. That was a dumb answer, Billy.
Jack in Rivergate, thank you for waiting. What's going on?
Well, I had thought the Eagles could win that. I was stunned in the way that they did. I never expected the Chiefs to be that flat-footed, but they just got run over. Just run over.
I think we're all stunned. Hey, can you imagine what it must have been like at halftime in Kansas City's locker room? I mean, when was the last time they got trashed? And they got 30, 35 minutes while Kendrick Lamar's doing his thing, whatever that was. And they got all that time, and they didn't solve doodly squat because he came back out there in the second half, got sacked twice in the opening series.
Well, I've always got this saying that the longer you win, the closer you are to losing one. And, man, did that come home to roost.
Whew.
But I'm all for us taking Rodgers. I'm all in. It would just be too much fun. Because, first off, they've got to stay on schedule. So they fired a GM, fired a coach, fired a GM. It's going to be Brian's turn in the bucket at the end of next year. So as long as it's going in the tank anyway, just think he'd be at a press availability, mumbling that mumbo jumbo he always talks, to get grilled by Paul Kuharski. I mean, it would just be way too much fun. And imagine the bar that he would open downtown, a Peruvian barbecue, ayahuasca, honky tonk. I mean, there would just be too much fun involved in all this. And if he manages to win a few games, hey, you're ahead.
Hey, thanks for figuring it out and educating Billy.
There you go.
Talk to you.
I will say that would be fun. I don't know if they'd win a
But
ton of
wouldn't be
games.
dull.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd win a ton of games. Depends on what you want.
Okay, after the break, Jeff in Murfreesboro will be the leadoff hitter. Then Tony in Nolensville. You can join us as well at 615-553-0933. Hit the phones. This is 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
.443 is the time from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. We go back to the phones. Jeff in Murfreesboro, welcome.
How's it going, George?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to say, y'all are Super Bowl champions. At Middle Tennessee, there's been 12 guys winning 15 times. The first guy that won it was Ray Oldham. He was on the 1978 Steelers, Super Bowl 13. Griffin's got 2 from the 49ers, 22 or 23 and 24. Walden won with the Packers. Well, Harris has got 3 with the Chiefs, 54, 57, and 58. He got the most. He got 3. Caldwell, which I know Kelly remembers him. He coached with the Bucks and won on the Bucks. He still Orlando Hatchet from Barcelona trying to pick up his Kelly remembers that. They played the playoffs up there in Huntington, about the one AA playoffs. And then Richie James won one, and Isaiah Gathings won one. Chandler Brett, just a few numbers. 12 guys that's won it 15 times, counting Blankenship now. That he got his in the Super Bowl here last night. So 12 guys is pretty good names. Griffin, his brother James plays for the Lions in the NFL also. His brother plays. So, and I think his cousin, Gerald Griffin, played on the 1998 NCAA the national champs of Tennessee. He also played Riverdale and won state championship on the Gary Rankin the GOAT back in the day. But there's several great ones. Your Mario Adam boys, just a few. But I want to ask Kelly, how's it feel with your daughter being an all-time three-point leader at Lipscomb, 215 threes and counting? How's that feel?
So he can't hear you, but I'm going to kind of pass it on. He wants, Kelly, he wants to know how you feel about your daughter up on that scoring pedestal that she's on.
Well, first of all, Jeff, I appreciate you calling in the other day, man. Sorry I can't hear you, but you sent George a message, which was awesome. I don't know, man. You don't ever think about that as a dad. You just want your daughter to have a great experience in college, and you never think about being a scoring leader or being a three-point leader. You just want her to be out there on that court competing like she likes to compete. And with the injury that she had last year, I'm just elated that I get to watch her play for one more year, because I didn't think she would ever get to that point again. And for her to do that, I think she's only like 18 points or 28 points. I can't remember. My wife has told me, but yeah, she's got that many to get the overall scoring lead. So just what she's done in her career, man, it's awesome. And I appreciate you keeping up with her and calling in the other day. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, she's real good. And she told her reporter one time she gets her toughness from her daddy, and I believe that. Because she's tougher than a box of nails. And I told you before, you're the greatest quarterback set foot on that campus. You know it. You're the toughest thing there. When you break your jaw and call single foul, ain't nobody tougher than you. Ain't nobody tougher than you. Know it. So I congratulate Jay on everything. She's done well. Something in the Murfreesboro Post this week about it. So good luck, kiddo, with everything. I hope she's doing well. I know Lori is. So y'all have a great rest of the year. Enjoy Jalen's last few games at Lipscomb. Take care.
Nice phone call. So, Kelly, who they got this week?
That's a good question, George. That's a really good question. They play Thursday. I know that we have to. I have to, and I was going to call you. They play at 5:00 Thursday. They're having a doubleheader, which I didn't know that they had doubleheaders on weeknights usually. But they're playing, then the men play at 7:15. So,
and I will
probably
be
gonna
at
have
the
to
next game.
Yeah, I will not. I mean, I could probably be on from 3 to 4. But hey, the Nashville traffic, as we all know, as y'all know well, is crazy. So I must leave early.
It's an American tragedy.
I know.
Billy, tell Kelly real quickly what you said last week when I asked if you missed him on Friday.
Billy.
I said it's just it's not the same without him.
No, that's not what you said. That is a total.
Billy, you're so full of crap, and I know that.
I said it's a little bit more comfortable.
Tony in Louisville, welcome in.
That's pretty funny right there, guys. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. The game itself last night, Kelly, I hope you can hear me. As I never know if you can or not. But
I can't hear you. I don't know why I can't hear Jeff, but I can hear you.
Well, that's good. You saw what I call and what we've all called, been around the game, all of us, complementary football. Each phase of it helped the other. Each phase of it pulled their weight, from the special teams to both the offense and defense. Defense getting the ball for the offense converting into points. I mean, it was a complete game. It was a complete game of domination. That's another thing also. And Billy, I agree with you early in the show. The interception, I said this on Pokey Show today, the interception, return pick 6, that was the first nail in the coffin. When that occurred, you could absolutely see the faces
both sides of the field, that the Eagles were, we've got this, and you could see the deer in the headlights look on the Chiefs. And guys, I think back of what George, you asked what it was like in halftime. If y'all have ever seen the old picture of back in the day of Lenny Dawson sitting in the locker room at the halftime of a Super Bowl game, and he was smoking a heater, a cigarette, and drinking a Krista. I can only imagine if that's what Mahomes was doing in the locker room the other night, last night.
I don't think they were as health conscious back then as they are now. But here's one other thing that
is true. Mike, I don't know if he had been eating an orange slice or something, but I'm sure it was sour if he was.
Tony, think about
the Eagles. I had picked the Eagles to win. It's so hard to be a three-peat in anything. And I just thought that the Eagles were going to beat them. I thought the Eagles were a more physical team throughout the whole game. They just showed their more physicality. But the one thing that I did want to touch on is at the halftime this weekend, I attended my granddaughter's dance competition at Opryland. I would much rather have seen that all over again than to watch these halftime shows they're putting on the field now. I mean, I would much rather have seen Southern University's band to come out and perform at halftime than what we're seeing on these halftime shows. I love the halftime performances during regular season of bands on the collegiate level, but these things, they're putting these stars out there now and doing it. It's just, I just like that. That's a good time to go eat. It's a good time to get caught up on all your knickknacks. And it's just, it's just ridiculous. But the game itself, I thought it turned out the way I thought it would. Not the score, obviously, not the way it ended up being that largest score, but just the way things have turned out. And one thing, I'm going to let y'all go on this. Watching what we watch in the playoffs and then the Super Bowl last night, and then you watch the Titans, guys, we are so far from being a good football team and being a competitive team to be at that level. It's a shame. It really is. We got a lot of work to do downtown, and Miss Amy's got her hands full, and so does Ben Callahan and all of them. I'll let you go, guys. Want to touch base with you on that.
Thank you,
George.
See ya. So, Kelly, I wonder about this. So, okay, Billy, what's the streak? They've been in the AFC title game how many years in a row?
7.
Well, yeah, they've won.
Okay.
They've been in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
So if they've been in 7 AFC title games in a row, that's an extra 21 football games, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a season and a half of extra football tied into nothing but postseason. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, he's had 18 games, I think. I think he's played 18 playoff games, and he's still 16. Is it 16 behind Brady? I think he's at 34.
Yeah. So I'm just asking the question, was there a lack of emotional juice for Kansas City as well?
I don't think so. I just think they ran up against a better football team. I really do. I thought going into the game, Philly was a better football team. Now, I will say Kansas City did a really good job on Saquon Barkley. That's what kind of surprised me. I thought they would be good, but I didn't think they would contain him like they did. But that's their whole deal. They were going to make Jalen Hurts beat them, and he did. He threw the ball well. He only had 5 incompletions, I think. He ran the ball when it was opportunistic for him to run the ball, and he was the leading rusher for the Eagles as well. So I think there was only one quarterback ever to do that, and that was Steve Young. Steve Young obviously led passing, and then he was the leading rusher for his football team. So it was just a great game by Jalen Hurts and by the Philadelphia Eagles, and they were just better.
Okay.
I thought the Eagles outcoached the Chiefs as well. I mean, to see Andy Reid on the sideline, stone-faced the way he was strange. I mean, you just don't see that.
It looked like he strapped into the electric chair and said, "Turn the volts on."
No answers.
I know it was pretty shocking. Okay, after the break, the Eagles were not the only team or thing that had a commitment to excellence over the weekend.
Oh, gosh.
No. Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next. Speaking of heaters, I'm on one. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
On a Monday, tonight we do have some college basketball on the slate. North Carolina at number 23 Clemson, fresh off their storming the court after upsetting Duke as well, Baylor and Houston tonight. We'll see where Georgia's going. We got to take a look at what happened, unfortunately, over the weekend with this so-called standard of excellence. And there it is.
Yes, there it is.
Good gracious, George.
Yeah. How about that?
Way to go.
Yes. Feeling good. Let's see. Where are we going
That
tonight?
over, by the way, was garbage. I mean, that game was 40-6. It was not 40-20. The Eagles took out everybody.
Yeah. At the end, it was kind of an inter-squad scrimmage. But you know what? They don't ask. Billy, when you take your little slip to the window in Vegas, they don't ask about style points. They either pay or they don't pay. So tonight, the University of Houston, remember a week ago, they got beat at home by Texas Tech. They don't get beat at home very often. They will be a pissed off group of Cougars, and they will take it out on the Baylor Bears. Houston at home, -9 against Baylor.
Cougs.
Yeah. Kelly, you know what? Is that all you can do?
Yeah, who cares? George, let's move on.
Yeah, no.
You're not making anybody any money. I mean, it's a crapshoot. If somebody ever thought about listening to you, they're taking their life in their own hands and their money into their own hands.
But you'll notice I continue to be over 500. It's a commitment to excellence. And
you do. I remember not too long ago, though, you had a losing record, and you
yeah,
had
we
to just start
all,
over.
yeah, we all find
Kind
a problem
of like
somewhere.
that. Kind of like that Titans sweater you got on, that sweatshirt you got on. Was that when the Titans first came in to Nashville? I mean,
Kelly, what's that hat? Is that 2 under?
2 under, baby.
Is that your
Golf
goal?
hat.
Have you ever been 2 under?
And I have not. I've been 1 under.
You know, I'm tired of listening to all this. This is a bunch of drivel on y'all's end. So here's what we got. Tomorrow, we will broadcast from Memorial Gym. Their game against the number 1 ranked Auburn Tigers is at 6 o'clock. We'll obviously be on the air from 3 to 5 p.m. Tony Basilio during the 3 o'clock hour, an Auburn guest at 4, and then we'll open it up for all of you. See you then. Until then, Kelly, behave.
2 under, baby. See you.
Yeah.